The Center for Audit Quality presents Profession in Focus.
Hello, and welcome to this edition of Profession in Focus. I'm Cindy Fornelli, the Executive Director of the Center for Audit Quality, and I'm very pleased to have with us today as our special guest, Nick Land. Nick is, among other things, the Chairman of the Audit and Risk Committee of Vodafone, and we're going to be talking about Audit Committee responsibilities. So Nick, thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Nick, in your view, how have requirements for audit committees changed around the globe, particularly with respect to your responsibilities and your reporting?
Well, I think let's first start with the UK, where we've seen major change in the reporting, because there's now a requirement both for the extended audit report, which has been in for 2 seasons in the UK, and also for much more transparent audit committee reports, where, among other things, you have to focus on the matters that you considered significant and indeed not just report on them, but also explain how you came to your judgment. So in the UK, big changes. What's it done? I think from an audit committee point of view, it has made us even more engaged. It's made us think, I think, much more carefully about how we interact with the auditor. In particular, I can only speak for myself, it's, I think, made me focus more on the audit plan, which is clearly a key instrument, but if I'm very honest about it, I think there was a tendency to sort of take that for granted. So I think it's made quite a lot of change in the way that audit committees behave. The reaction from the investor has been very, very positive about the extended audit report, and I think reasonably positive about the new style audit committee report. The new style audit committee report perhaps hasn't been quite as impactful as the extended audit report. So I think from a UK point of view, a big step forward, one that's been, I think, generally applauded by investors, and indeed one I think that's helped change the behaviour both of auditors and of audit committees.
So Nick, Vodafone was really a leader in being first out. In fact, you early adopted the extended auditor's report requirement.
Yeah.
What prompted you to do that, and what has the reaction been? Was it a positive experience?
The reason that we early adopted is first, I think, as a generality, Vodafone tries to early adopt where we get changes in the UK Corporate Governance Code. We think that's a good thing. Second, of course, wearing my Financial Reporting Council hat on, I was highly involved with the development of the new UK Extended Audit Reporting Standard. So it did seem incumbent on me to encourage Vodafone to respond as soon as possible. But most importantly, particularly around the Extended Audit Report, it was Deloitte's willingness, who are then our group auditors, to really go before the ink was even dry on the new standard. So it was great credit to them. So I think both Vodafone and Deloitte's felt this was important and wanted to be early adopters. The reaction from investors was enormously positive. There was a revolution, but it's also about evolution, and each year you learn more. Things I think improve, and that's probably the best way to develop these things.
So Nick, we at the CAQ have been working for the last couple of years on developing a set of audit quality indicators, and they're aimed at and meant to be reported to the audit committee. And I'm curious, wearing your audit committee hat, do you think those will be helpful to have audit quality indicators? And what do you hope to see with audit quality indicators?
One of the challenges in the new reporting in the UK from audit committees is that we now have to report publicly on how we assess the effectiveness of the audit and what conclusion we came to. And as we all know, audit takes place in a black box. It's quite difficult to know how to assess the auditor. Other than the obvious things that they seem on the ball, you've got a great lead audit partner, etc., etc. So the work that you're doing, I think, is very, very timely because I certainly am, and I think many of my colleagues chairing audit and risk committees are struggling with how do we, in a more organised and systematic way, how do we assess the effectiveness of the auditor? And I think that the work that you're doing is going to be very, very helpful. One of the challenges is that the assessment has to be around inevitably a mixture of objective measures, hard-edge measures, such as you're proposing, like the number of hours that the lead partner might spend on the audit, but of course also has to still continue to include subjective measures. Do you feel that the auditor has been sceptical enough? How effective is the auditor in communicating to you difficult areas, which is an indicator that they really understand what they're talking about? So I think the work that you're doing, and indeed some work that the Financial Reporting Council has been doing in the UK, are both very important pieces of work, and I think will be a really useful aid to audit committees getting to grips with what I think is quite a difficult area, because as I say, an audit inevitably takes place in a black box. Most people on audit committees don't really understand exactly what an audit is and what it can do, etc., because they're not all auditing experts. So I think any help we can get will be very welcome indeed, and I applaud the initiative.
Well, thank you, Nick, for sharing your perspectives, and thanks to all of you for watching this segment of Profession in Focus. I'm Cindy Fornelli, and we'll see you next time.